Hey, welcome to today's video. I hope you are good. Now, if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and press that bell button. I teach cryptocurrency. I'm also going to be venturing on the stuff like this, talking a little bit about financial markets, possibly a little bit more on investing as well, because cryptocurrency is a big niche, but ultimately, if you're taking a bit from cryptocurrency and you put it somewhere else, it's a bit better. So let's talk about the recession. What will this mean for Bitcoin? Let's start. Right, so I'll go through history first, just in case you were unaware what a recession is. I want to talk about it, and this was the previous recession. We've been in quite a decent market in terms of how it's been growing over the last couple of years, but we're getting to a point now where things are happening, and I will go on to that in a second. But I want to just go over this little bit here. Causes for a recession. Basically, lending problems led to fall of lending due to shortage of liquidity, not enough money to give out to lenders. Mortgages were stupidly high in terms of borrowing rates, and they couldn't pay them back, and it was just like a free-for-all with cash. It's like, it wasn't good. Falling consumer and business confidence results in financial instability. Fall in exports in global recessions or from the global recession, so people not selling products such as cars. As an example, my old man he still is, he works in the car industry, and I remember when I was literally finishing my school sort of grade sort of things back, 10 years ago, it was quite tough because he was on a lot less working hours because the cars weren't selling, and the parts that were needed for cars weren't needed to be built, so there's no work on. A fall in house prices needed to lead into negative wealth effects, causing people to kind of flap and panic, and little issues came about there. And they're just the basics of it, okay? So that's just like the basics of what a recession is, where money is kind of becoming less required because there isn't any there. And people are selling at stupid rates, and they're borrowing at really stupid rates to encourage people to buy. But the media as well are kind of culprits in this, creating that little bit of a bubble effect, that bit of scaremongering. So yeah, this is quite a good little article teaching you a little bit about the basics. Obviously the housing bubble, bad loans repacked and resold, housing bubble burst, banks short of liquidity even. And obviously banks went into liquidation and had to be rescued and bailed out by the government, so it's a complete nightmare. But this has happened yesterday. This has created massive drops in the market. It was coming. We've seen it last week. The Dow Jones was dropping at stupid levels. I'm going to compare the Dow Jones to 3 asset classes very, very soon. So stick around so you can get an idea where to possibly put your money if you are looking at the stock market. Top tip, don't look at the stock market just yet. So yesterday, financial markets are flashing a key warning sign of a recession. The global economy is weakening as the US-China trade war intensifies. So, over the last coming months, there's been a few little issues with China and the US. And what has happened most recently is the yield on the benchmark of the 10-year US Treasury note briefly fell below the yield on the 2-year Treasury for the first time since 2007. What tends to happen when that happens is a recession soon follows, because essentially it means that you can lose money on a longer term investment on the bond market, which is kind of an issue. So long term wealth creators are using long term tactics to create wealth over time, but there's no positive interest in that. It's negative. So that's an issue. That happened last time we had a recession. It's happened again yesterday. Possible recession. So there's definite interest in what's happening now. So I've just mentioned the Dow Jones has been dropping. We're at all-time levels of heights right now. So what goes up tends to come down, and this kind of it's kind of get people a little bit scared. And this is another good article just telling you the basics of a recession, but that element of that yield is interesting. But in terms of live coverage, this is what's happened during the night. The Asian market has also been rocked by it. They woke up to the news, oh my god, and stuff's obviously happening. So even now, this is 28 minutes ago. Online spending boosts UK sales. We know what's going to happen in the UK. Brexit will be blamed. But the fundamentals of this is what is going to happen with our assets, with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin and other metals, which I'm going to come on to in a second. But what I will say is, look at what is happening in the financial markets. Do not look at, just crypto. Look at what is happening in the financial markets. There's an interesting thing that's happened over the last coming months when you look at Bitcoin compared to the Dow Jones. And I'm going to compare it. So here we have two charts. On the left hand side, we have got the Dow Jones index. On the right hand side, we've got silver. Now, I want to mention a few things. A lot of this has actually been in, kind of perfectly in sync until recently. So the uncertainty has been coming here. What I see here is a big massive drop, a huge drop. This is the uncertainty, obviously. Where's the wealth going? Now that is interesting when you look at that. That is just one element. Now if you look back, it's not as clear on silver. However, if we're going to gold, there's a few little more elements of use case. So if I just go on to gold, which, simple enough to do. Gold's a little bit different. So from this region here, let me just make sure it is fully in sync with that one. Yes. So from the 26th of April, that dropped like hell. And on this, we started to rise a little bit. From here, we started to rise. And even up to the point of the 1st of June, you got an element of a rise just beforehand. So wealth was starting to go into it. But what has happened recently is this has dropped off again. 23rd, 24th, 25th of July, it went a bit uncertain, and then we dropped. Again, look at the amount of moves in gold compared to where it used to go. Now, possibly going back in time, you'd probably find more of these as research, but I just want to briefly touch on, is money going to go into these assets? Possibly. Store of wealth. Historic meaning of, where people tend to put their money in times of uncertainty because they are store of value. Gold, silver are two of those. Now, I'm going to mention one more. We know it well. Bitcoin. What do you reckon? Do you think that Bitcoin will increase in value as the Dow Jones drops? There's been no clear, concrete evidence to show it just yet. It's too early. And also, you've got to remember, this is the first possible, which not happened yet, don't worry too much, recession where we've got Bitcoin. Now, what I will say is it will take time to understand what is going to happen. It won't just happen overnight. It's a long drawn process. But the elements that we've kind of seen at the minute is gold and silver are used at the moment briefly in times of uncertainty, not financial advice. But if you were holding stocks, I would suggest having a little look at them just to make sure that you are fully kind of organised. Because if it does drop, there's going to be a few problems. We don't know yet. I've already said if Bitcoin will become one of those store of value asset classes. Will people turn to the crypto world? Interesting. Now, I've mentioned it a few times in past videos that it could be a possibility. Cryptocurrency is very volatile. The stock market and the brokers within the stock market don't fully understand how cryptocurrency works, even with the volatility and how the pairs work. But what I will say is I think retail investors who are also investing in the stock market will possibly look at cryptocurrency as a store of value. We are in a bullish trend on the weekly. You can see we're obviously previous bull run. We're in a bull run right now. If the stock market is going to come down and we're still in a bullish zone, chances are they will use it. Look at gold, look at silver. They are doing very, very well. So for me, as an investor, I would keep a short eye and a very quick eye on the stock market if you're investing in it. But I would also not rule out the fact that cryptocurrencies could benefit massively from this. If store of value goes into it due to it being a volatile market, it could create a lot of interest with scarcity and also wealth management. So there you go. That's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit different, I know. Wanted to kind of get some thought out there about the recession and just kind of put it out there. And yeah, I know I talk a little bit about silver and gold. They're obviously very good opportunities if you are looking at moving wealth into certain elements of store of value. along with obviously cryptocurrency, which I know very, very well.